Hey everybody, good morning. It is currently 12:25 a.m. Eastern Standard Time frame. Welcome to another episode of Calamity Canteen. This is your host, Uprising from Meta Hunters, and how are you all doing out there today? Happy wonderful Sunday, or if you're in Australia or New Zealand, it'll be the next day for y'all. But regardless, hope you all are doing fantastic out there. For those of you just tuning in to the Calamity Canteen series, this is episode number 2. It's kind of a talk show, kind of update vlog or whatever series. Just where I discuss the updates of the channel, updates of upcoming projects, general discussions of anything Monster Hunter related, or just answering general questions that you guys may have. The first episode of Calamity Canteen received a lot of positive feedback, and we're taking that to the pretty much to the next step with episode 2. But first and foremost, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please grab your favorite drink. I don't know if you guys are, if you guys prefer any Heineken or Proper 12 or whatever responsible beverage of your consumption. And please join me for a wonderful little cheers. We're gonna do a little cheer right here. You guys can't see it, but tonight's drink of choice is a nice Bacardi. No, I'm just playing. I don't drink Bacardi. Not this early in the morning. Y'all are crazy. It's a cup of water. Ice water for me. But cheers, everybody. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you hear a cat in the background, my sincerest apologies. Again, very laid back, chilled series. But the first topic for tonight is, where do we stand with Monster Hunter Iceborne? So we are currently on the tail end of Iceborne series. We should be finished with it by the time you guys see this video, it'll either be August 3rd or the 4th. Not too sure when we're going to air this particular episode. Maybe a little bit later on in the week. But we're coming up on the tail end, and we have roughly 6 or 7 episodes remaining. With that being said, I think I can properly give my adequate review of World and Iceborne as a whole, but I will be very constructive with it, but I'll also say what I overall feel. So I do feel right off the bat that this Monster Hunter World in general is a fantastic game. The style of it, the storyline, the storytelling, the character development, and just everything about it in general, I feel is a very fantastic game. I love it, honestly, guys. This is coming from an old school MH1 rank 20, an old school MH, HR20 MH1 guy. But I really enjoyed it. I really had a lot of fun playing this game. I can see why a lot of you guys were so adamant on saying, hey, you need to try this game. You need to absolutely try this game. It's going to be a good experience, and rightfully so. It was an incredible experience so far, at least. I thought the base game was damn near perfect. I think the development team in general did a fantastic job bringing in a new school style of Monster Hunter, kind of like not reviving the series, but bringing it into the next millennia and making it more appealing to the next generation of hunters. I think they could not have done a better job. That being said, there's a lot of things in the game that I think were overlooked. I do believe, charged axe, not charge blade. Switch axe, excuse me, I was mixing up the two. Switch axes are overpowered. Charge blades kind of in that same category to me. But as a greatsword user, one of the hardest questions they had to ask themselves, no doubt, was how do we make greatsword relevant again? How do we actually evolve this weapon and make it actually useful in hunts? Because ever since charge blade came out and switch axe, hate to say it, greatsword users like myself, old school wise, we kind of been not necessarily cast to the wayside, because weapons aren't a class necessarily, they're more so just your preference. It's hard to justify bringing a greatsword user to a hunt when you get all the benefits of greatsword and not too many of the downsides, and a little bit more mobility. It's like you had like all the pluses of a greatsword user would have, or something like that, and it's just like, how do you evolve, and how do you make this weapon useful? Same thing with Lance. How the hell do you do that? And I think they answered a lot of those questions, honest to God. I truly feel like they answered a lot of those questions. Greatsword's fantastic in this game, but I wouldn't put it as like an A-tier weapon. I would say it's kind of a mid-tier weapon at best. One of the higher end mid-tier weapons. But greatsword users like myself, oh, what the hell's that hunter doing? Maybe he's ordering some spices, I'm not too sure. But greatsword users like myself, we definitely had a lot of fun in this game. The problem is, I feel like a lot of greatsword users are going to be a little bit lazy and not necessarily challenge themselves so much in this game, because I think the tackle is probably the biggest contributor to this issue, and you guys will understand. I'm going to put my actual sentence together, or structure it better. So what I'm trying to say is the tackle gives us so many options and so much versatility in hunts, which is what we desperately needed, but at the same time it also made us incredibly lazy, especially me. If you play like a traditional MH game, greatsword users, we had to know how to block. We had to know how to block, when to block, or what scenario what is the current scenario that's presented to us, and how do we is dodging better or is blocking better in certain scenarios and situations. And in this game, I feel like in this game a lot of greatsword users unfortunately are kind of lazy, because we can tank a lot of hits in this game. You seriously can. You get your 10 potions, then you got your 10 megas, then you carry probably your herbs and your blue mushrooms, so you basically have 20 max potions. You got your 2 ancients, and you have a multitude of ways to heal in this game. So I feel like blocking isn't necessarily as prevalent or as important as it is in traditional MH games versus, in this game, where it's like I know I can take this hit, and I feel comfortable taking this hit for many reasons. So as a greatsword user, World gave me a lot of hope and for the future. Let me just say that. Now, in terms of the base game, I felt the base game was damn near perfect. The storyline progression, the difficulty learning curve. I mean, really, you had maybe two difficult hunts in that game early on. I would say that's Anjanath, and then later on it's Devil Joe. That was from my personal experience. But a lot of the other hunts are kind of pretty easy, but I like what they did with like Corinne. I fought Corinne off screen. I do have a small video of Corinne coming up, but that's more of like a storyline perspective wise. Like that's for the storyline wise of Celestia's character development. But I like just overall what they did, making the game feel alive, making it feel like you're involved in a world a lot more. World is fantastic. The base game I would put very high up there. I'm talking, I would put it almost to the same category. Like if I had to do a tier list of Monster Hunter games, which I think would be a very interesting video, and I'd have a lot of explanations for each game and why I would categorize or why I would tier them the way I would. But I would rate it very highly, let's just say that. But that's just the base game. Now, let's go to Iceborne. I have a few problems with Iceborne. I like the monsters. I like the armors. I like how the handler actually becomes a primary character in the storyline, which is fantastic. And I think the region is pretty good and pretty cool. But I have to say it, man. You guys warned me. I forgot who it was, but one of you guys warned me, or warned us, I should say, that the difficulty curve spikes from high rank to master rank. It just jumps to like a ridiculous level. And unfortunately, this becomes very relevant in a few specific hunts. Like Narakugata was an excellent hunt. I love everything they did with it. I love it just made sense where you fought it. The revisioned theme, the background music when you're hunting her, or the Narukagara, is amazing. Bracky was an awesome fight. But then you get to like Shrieking Lagiana, and the fight just becomes, it's a massive amount of chaos going on. And the hunts, or the hints that you get that pop up mid-screen disappear very quickly. And I think this is a design flaw in this case, because it's like, very few times did I ever look at what was going on the screen and said, oh yeah, okay, it makes sense. I get what the hint is trying to tell me. But there's so much chaos, and a lot of the hunts in Iceborne are not, in my opinion, flawed, because it doesn't become about the skill of the hunt. It's not how do I say this? The hunts in Iceborne are not primarily based on the skill of the hunter. Like, there's a couple in Monster Hunter, there's always been a few select hunts during every specific title where it's basically a knowledge check for that hunter, and it's basically, okay, where does this hunter stand? Is this hunter prepared? Is the player prepared to go into the next few set of hunts? Are they prepared? Like, Zinogre would be a test, naturally. Devil Joe would obviously be a test. Anjanath in World was your first kind of knowledge check. Plessy in older games was your knowledge check. In this, but when you go from high rank to master rank, I feel like the skill is taken a little bit out of the game, and it becomes more of a who can out tank who can take more damage. Am I going to last? It becomes more about lasting longer than the monster, than the actual hunt itself. And a few hunts are really highlight that. Again, the episode with Shrieking Legiana, I will tell you right now that is probably my most detested hunt in World, period. In fact, just double checking on the phone just to make sure I'm remembering this. Shrieking Legiana for sure was just one of those, this doesn't feel right. Like, this hunt feels more of an annoyance than an actual hunt. What other hunts? Barriath felt okay, but it was kind of weird. I felt like the region is beautiful, but then the arenas that you fight Barriath in just don't really add up. Like, I don't know what it is. It's about. It's like the hitboxes just make no sense in some of these hunts. I don't know, and maybe they'll get that polished in World 2, because World 2 is going to be a no-brainer at this point. But Monster Hunter World, the base game, did everything fantastic. It borderline is damn near perfect. It's the perfect game that I feel this is the way Monster Hunter is going to be for future for this decade, for this next decade. This is what Monster Hunter is going to be. Period. Like, they're still going to have the classic traditional style games like Generation styled, but in terms of console or PC, this is it. This is the direction they need to go in, and I'm saying that they need to go into this direction. Simplify the process, make everything easier for the players to understand. Combo systems, make it more simplified. Make sure the hints are a little bit more clearer to the players. That's one critique I would definitely say. But some of these hunts are good, and a lot of these hunts are kind of like, it's I don't know. Again, I feel like the base game did it. The base game did everything, in my opinion, very, very good. But when we get to the Iceborne expansion, it's kind of like, I just feel like the Iceborne held it back a little bit. Like, if I were to rate World, I would say it's definitely an A tier game. But Iceborne, I would put like a B tier. Like, I don't know any other way to put it. Is it broken? Like, is the difficulty curve as bad as, let's say, Monster Hunter, oh my goodness, I was gonna say Freedom, that's not the one. MH Frontier, oh my god. Frontier, oh lord. Carajo, coño. Okay, so Frontier was just like, Frontier is when you gave imagine the development team behind Monster Hunter, and they, instead of like actual game designers and everything, actual people that have been in the industry, your core team is based off of college graduates, and you gave them a shit ton of weed and basically just a bunch of iPads and clipboards, and say, have fun, go at it, like show us what you can come up with. That's what Frontier was, and I think a lot of people that played Frontier would agree with me on that. Frontier had a ridiculous learning curve. I don't know what is the Japanese obsession with making things harder. Like, that was a problem. Another problem in World that I think is highlighted also, and kind of correlates to Frontier actually, is subspecies. I am sick and tired of fighting subspecies. I'm sorry. I hate to say this. Some of them are great, some of them are absolutely fantastic. But then I'm at a point in my Monster Hunter career that if the subspecies are another damn pink Rathian, another damn Azure Rathalos, or something like that. Like, some of them are creative in Iceborne. I will say that. And they're nothing ridiculous like Frontier, like, what was that version of Tigrex? Zenith? Like a Zenith Tigrex, which was just like, are you kidding me? Like, come on. What I'm trying to say is, one of the major problems with Monster Hunter is repetition. If you play Monster Hunter so much, you're going to be doing the same thing, just in a kind of a different form. But obviously, better armors, cooler looking stuff, better gear, it all is worth it and it makes sense. But in Iceborne, it kind of is the same issue with Iceborne and kind of Frontier, and kind of alike in many ways. Subspecies, I feel like Iceborne was held back because the subspecies were good, like Ebony Adaragon was awesome, and Coral Puke was great too. But it's like, I wish they came up with more new monsters. Stop bringing back, Capcom, if you listen to this, or anybody from Capcom listens to this, stop bringing back the old school favorites. The next Monster Hunter game, be it 6 Ultimate, or World 2, whichever comes first, I want to see new monsters, new region. I don't even want to see Rathalos or Rathian, and I know they're trademark monsters, but I don't want to see them. Why? Because I feel like if we bring back the classics, which in this game it made sense to, but we're kind of holding ourselves back. There's a reason why in Pokemon, in the recent region in Sword and Shield, they did have old school Pokemon still in the game, but they completely just, gave us a lot more new stuff. And I feel like that's kind of the same thing they were trying to replicate here, but it's like, at this point in time, I want the next game to be completely different. I would like it to be new everything. New monsters across the board, small, medium, and large. I want new elders, very unique stuff. Show me the best creativity you can. And that's where I kind of feel with Iceborne. I feel like Iceborne just didn't meet the expectations I was expecting it to, but again, we're just about to hit the finish line, so I can't fully say, okay, I can say everything based on feelings and how I feel right now, but how I'll feel in a couple days when the game is complete, then it's like, okay, how do I feel about it now? So time, opinions can change a little bit, but what I'm confidently speaking on, and I'm sure a lot of you guys would agree with me, again, the simplification of the process, getting rid of a lot of excess items that didn't need to be in the game anymore, making the game a little bit easier but still challenging, making the difficulty curve all the way through, and making an interesting storyline. All of that was highlighted better in the base game. When we get to Iceborne, it was kind of like, okay, something feels a little bit off here. Overall, though, I love the game. I truly do. I love it. I think it was fantastic. It was an excellent palate fresher. And I hope everybody out there enjoyed World just as much as I did, because I truly enjoyed the game. The wife just started to get into playing it a little bit, and she's actually having a lot of fun too, so it's good. Moving on to topic number 2, where does that put us in terms of a timeline for 3U? So 3U, we're doing a lot of new innovations to the, how do I say this? Modernizing a walkthrough, keeping up with the times and making the video series even better. So as you guys see or saw with the Iceborne, we did a trailer for it where we showcased a lot of the meta hunters, the meta hunter community names were on the board, and the final episode of Iceborne will also feature something like that as well, just a heads up. But where does this put us in terms of 3U? So I originally said 3U is going to be starting in August. Well, we're already in August. So I would say 3U, because we're going to take a week to kind of get everything prepared. So we will still be doing like a week or at least a couple days off from from uploading any videos, just to prepare. We are about ready to record the first episode, but we're testing out something completely new, which will be hopefully be exciting. We've wanted for a while to implement commentary into the video series, and I think, how do I say this, modernizing how we do walkthroughs. I didn't want to fully commit to a let's play styled series, because I feel like people still need to hear the game, feel the game for their, just feel the game for themselves, get used to the sounds and the sights and everything around it. I didn't want to take anything away from the actual game itself. So with that being said, taking a little bit of hint from VTubers, I don't know if anybody's a fan of any VTubers out there. Sad to say I'm not a weeb, but I took a little bit of advice from a friend of mine, and he came up with a pretty interesting formula that I think we will be trying for the 3U series. We're gonna actually, we might have Celestia actually be voicing or commentating portions of each episode. So on top of giving an actual lore in the description, on top of that, we're actually going to be getting an actual voiceover. I will be, I've thought, or we, myself and the missus have been thinking about it, and we've thought about potentially commissioning a female voice actress to do actual voice acting segments to bring Celestia more to life and to actually have a voice commentating specific portions of the video and shortening the episodes a little bit. Not terribly, not by like a drastic length, but make it a little bit more enjoyable and viewable. We noticed the average duration of watch time for a lot of our videos, at least specifically for World, was between 3 and 6 minutes. Now obviously we want to shorten that. We want to shorten the episodes instead of making them like close to 30-40 minutes. Well, just shorten up the time a little bit and make it more viewer friendly. But I do know a lot of you guys keep these videos on in the background to listen to at work or to whatever the case may be. I appreciate y'all, by the way. Just don't get fired, please. Don't get fired, don't get into trouble. But I thought about that because it just makes perfect sense. Like it's kind of hybriding everything, and obviously I want Celestia to be voiced by an actual, like, I don't want to be the one doing commentary. I think you guys would get really sick and tired of my voice. And obviously Celestia is a female, so, it just makes perfect sense. She needs to be voiced by an actress, and I would probably get somebody from... I'm currently looking at a couple different gals from Southeast Asia, from Indonesia, Vietnam, and a couple other different places that have just stellar voices that I think fit Celestia really well. It's just a matter of deciding if we're going to fully commit to that route and deciding on who we feel best represents the character, like what voice, you know, the emotion. Can she showcase emotion? Can she like really emphasize a moment within the video? And I think all these girls that we have so far like nail it, and it's really tough to decide on which one to do. But that's something definitely to look forward to. So I would say right now, since we're still working on 3U and getting everything going, get the ball rolling, and finally commit to what we want to do with the series, I would say expect the first episode to air around mid to maybe late August. I know that's pushing it a little bit further, and my sincerest apologies, guys, on the delay, but like I said, I really wanted to expand upon her story and have. I thought about it one day when I was watching one of my old university gentlemen, who's a big anime guy, was watching and linked me to it and said, "Well, why don't you do something like this?" And I was like, "Well, from my limited knowledge of the VTuber industry and how I guess it relates to like K-pop, the K-pop industry, and like the Japanese idols and everything else like that. I have limited knowledge of that industry, but not too much. And I was kind of like, well, I don't know if I would like her voice to be constantly, like a constant presence in each video. But if we can do like a almost storytelling kind of perspective, but still have the hunts be present and available and be a vocal point of the videos, because that's a big point of, you know, Celestia's story, alongside the descriptions. And if we can figure out a formula to complement everything together, like really hold everything together, I would say why not? And that's just kind of how this whole that's kind of where we are right now. So we're testing out a lot of female voice actresses, and hopefully we'll be able to pick the right one. Now, some of you guys may be asking, well, why Southeast Asia? I'm a big fan of Southeast Asia. I think it's completely underrated. I think a lot of people say, like, in terms of visiting an Asian country. Now, I visited China. I taught in English in Shanghai for a little bit, but I've been to Ningbo, I've been to Shenzhen, I've been to Beijing, I've been to a few different cities, and I know a lot of people. We are in the, how do I say this? I know a lot of guys out there would like to go to Japan. Anytime anybody ever says, hey, why don't you go to Asia? The number one country that's always going to be present is Japan. Japan's awesome. They brought us so much great stuff between, you know, video games and everything else. And I think, you know, fantastic. I think everybody should learn multiple languages and cultures and societies and everything. But Japan is always the number one talked. And it's like, you do realize what's in Southeast Asia, right? Like, Southeast Asia is a colorful basket of different cultures and just everything that you could potentially want. Like, go to Vietnam, like go to Cambodia. There's just so much. I think Southeast Asia is very underappreciated. The other thing that we have going on, and why I have an interest in commissioning somebody from Southeast Asia to do the voices, because we've ultimately decided, and maybe I talked about this in the previous Calamity Canteen, but Celestia is of Southeast Asian descent, specifically Southeast Asian American, because, hey, we're American over here, so I gotta give it up to the Americans. So she is, I'll officially squash the rumors now. Well, this is technically not canon, at least because this is Monster Hunter. So there's no such thing as American in Monster Hunter. But we have a artist right now that is working on the official illustration piece for Celestia's character, and I saw a rough draft of it, like a rough draft concept, and I think you guys are gonna love it when we showcase it. It'll be on a community post coming up pretty soon, but the artist is actually from Indonesia, and he does fantastic work, and we have a huge Indonesian fan base here. We have a big American, Indonesian, Brazil, South American, just big fan base, and that's because that's probably because I spoke Spanish and Portuguese in previous videos. Either way, we love all of you guys. We cherish each and every one of you guys. Anybody who views is honestly incredible. But we've decided that Celestia is going to be of Indonesian American descent, at least by any art illustrations. So the upcoming illustration that the artist is working on, we specifically said put both cultures together and see what any kind of like cultural symbolic stuff and whatnot. And again, that rough draft looked really freaking cool, man. We can't wait for you guys to see it, you guys and gals, because it's awesome. But that's kind of why, so it's kind of like a way of honoring, a portion of our fan base and making her even more relatable to the world. I don't think I would ever commit to making Celestia a VTuber per se. I don't think I would ever do that. But we, with everything going on for the upcoming projects such as 3U, we're testing out how to better modernize the channel and how to reach an even wider audience. Because one of you guys, oh my god, I forgot if it was Drake or somebody. Oh my goodness, I wish I remember. My apologies. Again, one of you guys brought up doing commentary in videos is good. Somebody mentioned I had a pretty interesting voice to do commentary for. Thank you for the gentleman that was. But you guys mentioned that you got to think about how Gaijin Hunter started. Kind of like they started doing non-commentary MH videos, but then look at how Gaijin progressed throughout the years. Commentary is almost a standard by now, and I think he said, I understand why you don't do it, but I think the more you do it and the more you get used to it, it just becomes easier over time, which I agree with completely. I completely agree with that. But stuff like this, like the Calamity Canteen series, this is me talking. This is Uprising talking to y'all. But this is just, guy talk and late night, just tossing the shit, for lack of a better term, and updates and whatnot. But for the actual video series, I think it would be a very good idea to bring on a voice actress and give somebody from Southeast Asia, a chance, or like a little minor independent contractor career, for a little bit, and just see how it works. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. We're excited. We really are, to see where that's going to play out. But that's the update regarding 3U, kind of updates on World, my thoughts on World and Iceborne. And let me take a little sip right here before my voice croaks like a... What the hell are they called? Paralyzing toads or whatever they are? Those dudes. Badass dudes. Nothing says I love you like a glass of water. Nothing says I love you to a Spanish man's heart than rice and salchichas, which, by the way, the wife made the other day, and I came home the happiest guy in the world. Rice and salchichas is like gold to a Spanish person. Like, oh god, you could steal many a Spanish man's heart. Here's the problem. And I hate to say this. She didn't do it right. Oh god. She didn't... I don't know how this happened. She didn't do the sofrito right. I think she tried to do like a homemade sofrito, and it just didn't come out right. She did the rice right, but she didn't do the sofrito. So, damn. I was the happiest guy, and then when I took the first bite, I was like, I love you, honey, but it didn't work out. Mind you, this is a Korean woman, so, needless to say, I slept on the couch that night. I wasn't allowed in bed, but whatever. Hey, here nor there. So let's get... Oh, goodness. So let's get to some questions. Some questions that you guys had. We do a community poll every month. I want to say is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing a community poll where you guys can come on board, ask us any questions, and we'll answer every question to the best of our ability. And we're always generally curious as to what you guys think, and everything you guys have, from thoughts, constructive criticism, anything. We want to know. Seriously, we appreciate everybody's feedback on the channel. You guys have been doing awesome in terms of just just your general feedback, your constant viewing attention, constant viewing to the channel in general, support and love for the channel. That's all incredibly appreciated, guys. We have a lot of things coming. Look at what the hell is that? That does not look like an alcoholic beverage. That looks like water, moving water at that, which is a little weird. But some questions. Let's get to some questions. Jojo the Hobo. Shout out to Jojo. You still have a fantastic name, bud. What do you dislike the most about the Monster Hunter series? Oh man, what do we dislike? Repetition. Same thing with Pokemon. Pokemon and Monster Hunter equally have this issue. Repetition, and kind of how I said earlier. Repetition, in my opinion, of fighting a lot of different subspecies. I feel like the creative director and the art team behind Monster Hunter does a fantastic job as is, but I feel like every time we bring back older monsters, I think it's kind of like a get out of jail free card, in my honest opinion, and I don't like that. I feel like the creativity behind Monster Hunter could be so much better. Drake Petty, shoutouts to him. He mentioned there was a Monster Hunter related channel of a guy where he talks about designing monsters and such, which I've listened to some of his videos and I think they're fantastic ideas. Some of these concepts are generally good, but I would just say repetition, constantly having to do the same thing, even if it's in a different form, different style, different everything. This is why you can't necessarily play Monster Hunter constantly, because you become bored at some point. You're like, oh, I'm slaying another Rathalos. Oh goodness, I get to fight a Stygian Zinogre again. Like, it's exciting, it's great, and again, I understand why they brought back those monsters for World and Iceborne, because we wanted to fight those monsters in a completely new style and format. But the repetition of doing it, that's where I have the problem. Even to me, I cannot play 3 Monster Hunter games back to back to back constantly without playing something else, like a different RPG or something like that. I would just lose my mind. There's only so many times you can go on plate runs from like back in the day and not get bored, or just be like, okay guys, we've started at 10, we started at 10 at night, and then we're going to like 1 in the morning. We still haven't gotten a single plate to drop. The plate back then was as rare as a Final Fantasy IV pink tail, for Christ's sake. So I'm dating myself here. I don't know if any of you guys remember the pink tail from FF4, but oh my god, repetition would be the #1 killer for Monster Hunter. And that's why I say I'm hoping for 6U or for World 2, they just go just give us new everything. And that way we don't have anything to kind of complain about. Like, if you're going to bring in Zinogre and Bracky and everything, definitely do that for DLC, which is, again, what they did here, but they brought in way too many of the older monsters, and that just kind of took away from World a little bit. It did take away from the game, and I feel like just repetition. Repetition would be the #1 thing. Repetition and hitboxes, because let's be honest, hitboxes in this game sometimes, boy, they could be very, very bad. They could just make no sense, even to me. But other than that, and just BS moments, because in every Monster Hunter game, you're always going to get BS moments. That's just a given. But yeah, I would say repetition for sure. So another question that we received is, what games do you play in your spare time? So I don't, shucks, I don't get a lot of time to spend gaming nowadays as much as I would like to. Just between career and the eventual move, myself and the missus are planning to relocate. Hopefully within this next year, within these next 2 or 3 years, we're definitely going to be moving out of state and whatnot. But in terms of other games that I play, big fan of first-person shooters, always have been. Currently, I've invested some time into Rogue Company by Hi-Res Studios, and I've been having a little bit of fun with that. I haven't touched a shooter game in so long. We're talking about like 4 years at least. But Rogue Company is a little bit. It's fun. It's quirky. It's great. I jump on a few different servers. I play on. One day I can be playing on LATAM servers, and the other day I'll be jumping on Brazil. I'll go check out Asia. So I'll just play whatever. But Rogue Company is definitely the game that I'm playing on the side a little bit. It definitely as it stands right now. I did play Resident Evil 3 Remake. I'm a huge fan of Resident Evil. Always have been. I have so many great memories of playing the original trilogy from way back in the day. I was very disappointed in Nemesis's remake, to say the least. Didn't even live up to the expectations. Like, 2's remake was fantastic. 3's was like, get out, really? Like, this is what you gave us? And it pissed me off more because my favorite Latino of all time, Carlos Oliveira. Shoutouts to Carlos, Spanish pride, you know how we do. But they did him so much justice. We finally get to see him again, and unfortunately the game just doesn't really hold up to par. Though I loved Jill's character, or Jill Valentine's character, but that's another game that I did play a little bit. I played beat, and then I was kind of like just disappointed, to say the least. I haven't played Resident Evil Resistance. Have not played that yet, but I'm still waiting for Outbreak to get remade or whatever they're gonna do with that series. My favorite game of all time, for those of you guys that are wondering, is Resident Evil Outbreak File 1, not File 2, but my favorite game of all time, File 1. I spent so much time on that game, like, it's nuts. But I guess I should say some of my favorite games that I played from like childhood and whatnot. So Resident Evil Outbreak, I spent a lot of time on. Ratchet and Clank series, I'm a big fan of. Up Your Arsenal was awesome to play. Deadlocked was also awesome. Champions of Norath, Skate, the Skate series was also really good. Trying to think. Halo, of course. I went to so many MLG tournaments across the country, just for Halo specifically. Halo 2 and Halo 3. Smash, Tekken, BB Tag, kind of. Grand Blue, a little bit. Trying to think what other games. Obviously Monster Hunter. I mean, the channel's just course, it's just of course. Obviously Monster Hunter, but I mean, as a kid I played like Spawn the Eternal for the PlayStation 1, Final Fantasy, Legend of Dragoon, Legend of Legaia, Azure Dreams. I could go on and on about a lot of the older games I used to play. Me and my sister just used to play, and God, we'd be here for hours. But Game Boy games like Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, like Advanced Wars, Pokemon, of course, because every 90s child is a Pokemon fan. Every Saturday and Sunday, it's family day. Like, I am in full-time father mode for the most part, and early mornings are cartoon Saturday and Sundays. So I take my little guy, I try to give mommy an extra hour or two to sleep, and we just sit down and watch cartoons. And we primarily have been watching Disney XD a little bit, because they have, I call it the trifecta. They have at 8 o'clock starts, I think, what is it? Beyblade Burst Rise. Then they go to Yokai Watch, which is a fantastic little show. And then they have Pokemon, Ultra Sun and Moon Legends and whatnot. And obviously, you know, as a 90s kid, all this stuff I love. And my son gets into it as well. Like, he kind of pays attention to it. He doesn't really understand a lot of it, but he does pay attention to it. And it's like, that's like the father and son moment. Like, I love the weekend so much. Being a father and being a parent, by the way, is incredible. I really would not change this experience for anything in the world, because nothing could ever replace it. It's such a wonderful experience. But huge fan of Pokemon. But those are some of the games that I played as a kid. And in terms of like MMOs, obviously World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 11. I could tell you anything about that game because I played it for way too many years. Final Fantasy 14 a little bit. Phantasy Star Universe and online, that kind of stuff. In terms of games that I'm looking forward to, I think it's called Blue Gender is the MMO. The real, like, it's kind of like anime and Zelda inspired. And I'm looking forward to seeing that game in its full, how do you say? I'm just looking forward to that game. Obviously Zelda games as well. I can never forget playing Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages. Those are two of my favorite ones. I used to play those games while watching Toonami on like a Friday night with like Bobo and what was another one? FLCL, Fooly Cooly, Code Geass, Lucha the Rebellion. Oh god. Okay, we're going into a different topic, but yeah, those are some of the games I used to play a lot. Are you a fan of anime? Shit. So, I'm not a fan of new school anime, but I am a fan of old school shonens. My favorite anime of all time is Yu Yu Hakusho. Love that series to death. My favorite one, hands down. But I do respect animes like Naruto, which was also a fantastic series that was plagued by a boatload of filler. A ridiculous amount of filler. Naruto before Shippuden was incredible. And I'm happy to see Boruto as a series and everything. So I'm very happy to see where everything came and gone. But nothing, in my opinion, beats Yu Yu Hakusho. I don't think there's an anime that even comes close to how good that one is. But in terms of anime I'll sit down and watch things like Sailor Moon, Ranma 1/2. I think it was Fruit Basket was another one. Trying to think. Death Note was okay. Card Captors, Sakura. Trying to think. There was like Blue something, and it was about like space marines and like insects and shit. But old school, like older generation shonens and just like the 90s style of anime, that's definitely what I'll watch. Inuyasha for sure. What other ones? Like, mostly that. I haven't really kept up with anime since like 2008, so I'm really behind on the times, but I occasionally check out like new school stuff to see where it's gone. I don't feel like they do women justice though. Like, we went from like, take a old school 90s shonen that they present the gals as like voluptuous as possible, and then you see like the cartoony almost kind of style girls now. Like I mentioned VTubers earlier, but then if we watch things like the idols, the Japanese idol animes, and it's kind of like, what is this quirky shit? Like, I don't understand it. It's weird to me, but that's just me. uh, what was the last anime? I think Fruit Baskets was the last one that me and the missus sat down and watched in its entirety. The wife is a fan of anime, but she's not like hella hardcore into it. Neither am I really. I do appreciate Japanimation. I do appreciate, what comes out of Japan that comes here that we tend to love and everything. But I just don't put it on such a pedestal. Like, I don't think Korean dramas, K-dramas, are better than Spanish soap operas. I don't think they even come close to how good Spanish soap operas are, but that's just me. I'm biased, obviously. But, yeah, I mean, I'll watch animes, but the ones I'll stay very clear from are, like, it's not the gory ones that I, like, sit there and just say, okay, this is kind of over the top and ridiculous. But the anime like Berserk, I will not watch. One specific reason why I will not watch it is because the one scene before, and this is like before Guts gets the Black Knight armor and everything, and he's going after, what's his name, Griffin and whatnot. The one scene where Guts is forced to watch, yeah, that's where I draw the line. Something about that anime just like, and it was the music too. The music like fucking killed me. Like, I actually got up. I remember I was 18 when I first saw that one, and I got up. I was at like, me and the boys just hanging out, and I got up from the fucking couch seat and I just walked away because I was just like, nah, this ain't for me, dog. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I can do a lot of animes. Like, again, the old school 90s golden age animes where it was hella gory and stuff like that. I can do that. I'm perfectly fine with that. But once we get to the subject of rape, that is a big no-no for me. That's like nah. Keep that. Like, hold that. Keep it. I'm perfectly fine without. I heard Berserk is still going too. Jesus Christ, that manga is long, dude. I think anime heads, you guys know better than I. Is Naruto like the longest running manga and / anime in the world? I think it is, but goddamn, Berserk, it's still going on. Holy crap. But I don't keep up with anime like that. Like I said, I'm an occasional anime guy. I'll jump into it, I'll watch it, but I can't dedicate a lot of time to it, if that makes sense. But I respect it. I do like Japanimation, just like everyone else does. But those are some of the ones that I would watch. Let's see. What other question? There was one other question that we received. Oh, where did I go to university and what did I study? I went to Berkeley, out West Coast, out in California. That was where my alma mater is from, and I studied in advanced information technology. Very important subject to get into, and a very stable career if you're going into that path. For me, though, I really did not like a lot of the classes they were giving me. I think at one point I told my professor to go fuck himself. Because I was so sick of taking core, what do they call them, core something over here in the US of A, core classes or whatever that absolutely had nothing to do with IT. And I was like, listen, dude, I respect you, I know what the system is like, but you're giving me classes I have to take that have nothing to do with my major. Like, I don't like that. And I just got tired of it at one point. I was like, come on, man, just transfer me out of the class. I'm not going to take this bullshit. And I spoke to my student counselor at the time, and I told her exactly like that. I'm amazed I never got kicked out. But that's what I went to university for. So I have a lot of different certifications and trainings because I've been working since I was like 13. So I've done a lot of different jobs and many different like training and certifications and stuff like that. CPR and everything else like that, because I feel like if you're not learning something new every day, you're getting worse as a human being. Try to learn something of value, but also learn something that you think is useless, because you never know when it's going to be useful. Like learning how to replace your headlights in your car, or learning how to change a water filter system in a building, or whatever the case may be. Whatever it is, learn. Just learn something new every day. And that's kind of words to live by. But that's my mentality. That's how I treat when I'm learning a lot of different languages, like when I'm doing my Indonesian or Arabic or Cambodian Khmer language studies. I treat that like as if I'm going into a career with that language, if that makes sense. So learn something. Learn anything. If you're going to learn a language, my honest opinion would be learn Spanish, because it's the second most used language in the world. But if you want to learn an Asian language that is widely used, Chinese. Chinese would be the number one. Excuse me, my voice is starting to croak a little bit. But thank you guys so much for checking out Calamity Canteen number 2. I hope this has been very interesting for you guys to listen to. Sorry if I've rambled on for too long. We have a lot of exciting things coming from the channel. We still are working on the sub-tier badges and the more just community-oriented stuff. We're still working on the website and getting everything ready in terms of live streaming capabilities and just Monster Hunter related reviews. Hopefully one day we will be able to get a group session going. I would love to get a voice, like a Meta Hunters community voice chat, to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on a live setting. Maybe we'll make a Discord. I don't know. What do you guys think? Give us your comments down below. Would you guys like to see a Meta Hunters Discord alongside a website? I mean, what would you guys like to see from us? That is the biggest thing that myself and the wife are definitely we always look forward to, is what constructive criticism you guys can give us to better the community that we have here, and to how we can further improve things, because it's about you guys and your viewing experience above everything else. But with that being said, guys, thank you so much for joining me on this late night, early morning Calamity Canteen session, and I will see you guys next month for Calamity Canteen episode 3. Stay safe, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful remaining weekend or beginning of the work week, and we will catch you guys for the finale of Iceborne coming up pretty soon, and 3U starting shortly after. Take care, everybody. Peace.